Hello, everyone. My name is Bukky Maiye, and you are welcome to Bukky Talks. Today, we have the honor and the absolute pleasure of having our esteemed guest here, Mrs. Omorinsola Sofola. Mrs. Omorinsola Sofola serves presently as the Director of Human Resources at the AMCE, which is the Africa Medical Center for Excellence, which is part of the Afri-Exim Bank. You're very welcome, Morisola.
Thank you, Bukky. It's an honor to be here, not just as a very close friend, but also a partner in the HR industry that, we've scaled the industry over the years. And it's a privilege to have this chat with you today, Bukky.
Thank you so
And
much.
congratulations on this podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here.
Thank
We know
you.
you're very busy, so we don't take your time for granted. We promise
Oh.
that this will be very quick so that you can get along on your busy day. So today, Marisola, we're here to talk about the talent that exists in Nigeria.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware, but there is a going debate presently about the lack or scarcity of good talent.
Yeah.
We would like to hear your views on that.
All right. I mean, yeah, it's a very topical question, right? We all know Nigeria is Africa's most populous nation. And of course, the number should speak for itself in terms of number of graduates we have. But unfortunately, when you go into Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt, the boardrooms speak of the frustration of the talent deficit that we do have. A recent report from National Information Development Agency published that 85% of our graduates lack the digital skills that they require, right? So we also have to ask ourselves, how come these same Nigerians, when they do Japa, they end up thriving? So is it about the talent or is it about the environment, right? The onus is on us as employers, as a nation, to create that enabling environment for our talent to thrive, right? Even when our youth graduate, what is the curriculum? Is it all theoretical, or are there practical skills they learn? In the West, before you graduate, there are a lot of practical skills that you will learn in terms of, and we're doing, a good job gradually. You see a lot of universities saying you have to go and do industrial attachment.
Yes.
But it's not just that 6 months when you're graduating. It's even from nursery to primary school to kindergarten. What are the technical skills? What are the practical skills that our youth can learn if they're studying information technology? Unfortunately, do they have the equipment? Do they have the tools? Do they have the facilities to equip them? In my industry, in healthcare, we have the most brilliant doctors. The healthcare sector, there's a skill deficit, especially of the healthcare professionals. We're all aware of the Japa syndrome, where a lot of our doctors have migrated to the UK, to India, to the United States. Currently, I think the data is speaking to about 20,000 doctors, have relocated or immigrated to the United Kingdom, let alone other, countries. And, the question is, why are they relocating? Do they really want to relocate? On one side, you have employers saying, there's a talent skill deficit. But on the other side, you have the employees or the workers saying, there are no opportunities, there's low pay, there's not an enabling environment. And both sides are right. It's about how do we come together to, change that narrative, whether it's through policies around creating those enabling environments with our university, our curriculums, or whether it's policies around, the minimum threshold in terms of, pay. The public sector does that. The private sector also try to do that. But how do we try to upskill and upskill the industry in terms of pay, in terms of experience, in terms of technology? So it's a melting pot of various things both sides have to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's well said because as a human resource person myself, we hear it a lot where we have job applicants complaining that there are no jobs. And I tell them, I'm like, there are jobs. Have you
Yeah.
been on all the job platforms?
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're on these job platforms, we see a post that has been there for 1 year plus. It
Right,
hasn't
right.
been fulfilled.
Filled, yes.
So there are jobs. It's just that the talent, again, like you said, is where there's a deficit.
Yeah.
And it's part of the enabling environment you've alluded to.
Yeah.
Now, this conversation seems to be a hot topic now,
Yeah.
modern day or present day. Has it always been like that? Or
Yeah.
it's now that we're just becoming aware of these gaps?
Right.
Or historically, we've had these issues?
Okay, so let me give two scenarios. I've been in hospitality before. So prior to now, I was in the hospitality industry. Now the skill set there is not as advanced as that of the healthcare sector.
Right.
But if I am looking for one job, let's say I'm looking for a cook, right, or a chef, I could apply. I could post that job out there, and I'll get 10,000 CVs.
Absolutely. Yes.
But out of 10,000 CVs, probably only 10 have that skill set.
Yes.
Right? Even out of the 10, maybe one or two have the skill set and the right attitude.
Right.
So it's always been there. Now, fast forward to the healthcare sector where the skill set is, highly skilled. You're looking at very technical roles. Let's even look, for example, an ICU nurse. This is a nurse where we have an abundance of nurses in Nigeria. But an ICU nurse is one that has to basically work with patients that are critically ill, have to, do things like cannulation, understand where the veins are, and different skill sets that are required. Recent job, we posted, I will get 2,000 CVs, but from that 2,000 CV, how many of those nurses have been exposed to a real ICU environment? Right? AMCE has a 20-bed ICU.
Wow.
That's the biggest in West Africa. I can tell you that for free.
Wow.
How many of those nurses have had the experience in terms of the infrastructure, the technology, the standard operating procedures, in terms of how to safely manage patients in that critical condition? So again, it's both sides. And when these nurses are trained, when they're developed, they end up thriving. So it's both parts. Both parts have to play the role. And then when the employees are given that opportunity, they also have to roll up their sleeves and not have that attitude. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yes.
What do you want to tell me, right?
Yes.
It's a new environment, new tools, new technology, new experiences. So those employees also have to humble themselves.
Absolutely.
To adapt and to learn new things and even unlearn.
Unlearn, yeah.
Sometimes we have to unlearn to learn because we have old habits that die hard.
Yes.
So, we have to both marry.
Oh, that's brilliant, and that's very well said. Now, for the young, soon-to-be university graduates, so we've acknowledged that the skills gap need to be closed right from the early stages.
Right.
So from the nursery level to primary, all the way up to university and post-university. Now, for that young student who is in his or her final year and is super excited to be going into the workforce, as a human resource expert, what kind of advice would you give such a person who is not talking about entrepreneurship? No, I want to get into the career field or whatever it is, and I want to grow into X, Y, and Z in the next 10 years. What kind of advice would you give such a person?
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned Bukky, who is not talking about entrepreneurship, because we
Yes.
know with this new generation, is it
Yes.
Gen Alpha, Gen
Z.
there's so many new opportunities for entrepreneurs, whether it's, you want to be a content creator. You ask our kids these days, they want to, you cannot stifle those dreams.
No, you can't.
You have to enable them to, you have to support these dreams.
Yes.
Because, there's so many more jobs that are going to be out there, especially with AI. AI is going to take a lot of
Replace
jobs.
many jobs, yes.
So we have to let them explore what opportunities there are with this new generation of entrepreneurs, whether it's fashion, whether it's being an artisan, being a creative, We have to let them explore, those talents.
Okay.
But for those who want to go into, the 9 to 5, the corporate world, the advice I would have is know what you want, right? You have to kind of set a vision board for yourself.
Okay.
Set your goals for yourself, right? If I tell you about 10, 15 years ago, I had a goal that I want to be a HR director in a multinational organization. I wrote it hook, line, and center.
Oh, wow.
Right? So you have to write, you have to manifest
Right.
what you want. You have to, and this is both for career or personal.
Right.
You have to manifest what you want. And that starts with your thoughts. Right? Your thoughts will shape your words. Your words will shape your actions.
Yes.
Your actions will shape your goals. Your goals will shape what next you do, your moves. So number one is have your vision board. Set up your goals. Then equip yourself with the right skills, right? So if you know you want to be in engineering, if you know you want to be in tech, if you know you want to be in HR, if you know you want to be in healthcare, what are the latest trends? What are the latest skills, right? What function do you want to do? Do you want to be in account? So you equip yourself with the right qualifications, the right skills, the right certification, and most importantly, the right attitude, Bukky.
Attitude.
Right? You can have all the right qualifications, skills.
Yes.
But, you can train that. But for attitude,
yes,
that's when employers say, you know what, it's time for this person to go. If they don't have the right attitude. Because with the wrong attitude, you end up negatively influencing the rest of the organization. They say one bad egg spoils the bunch. So have the right attitude. You're hungry for something, you eventually get it. When you get it, you are now complacent. You have to keep that fire burning. You have to continue to upskill yourself, develop yourself. And, you in terms of leadership, they say lead self, lead people, lead organization. So know that there's a trajectory for your career path, and then just don't be stuck in leading yourself.
Absolutely.
Know that there is more to come.
Attitude. I'm so glad you mentioned that, honestly, because even with my small team, I try to encourage them to have the right attitude.
Yeah.
That's what is going to get you that next job, that promotion, because you find that in a team, you have similar skill sets.
Right.
Most people can do the same things.
Right.
And then with the aid of technology, especially AI now, work is a bit simplified to a large extent.
Yeah.
So what sets you apart from that next person is your attitude. It cannot be overemphasized.
Yeah.
And I pray that the younger generation that is probably watching this podcast takes a note from that. You're the expert, and you've told us that our attitude is important. Attitude is everything. So that's a very good lesson for our viewers
and
to learn.
Just to buttress, that attitude is usually coming out when there's feedback. So how do you receive feedback? Yes, we know that, the feedback should be constructive.
Yes.
Right? You should. They always say, oh, do sandwich approach. So this was what you did well, but this is, how you can improve. It's not always going to be constructive. Right? You're going to be in sometimes a hostile environment. You're going to be in, toxic cultures. And this is the reality. What do you do then?
Right.
As the employee? What do you do then as the worker? You have to just take the feedback. The one that is toxic or is not, this is not me, I don't know what he or she is talking about, just let it go out of the other ear.
Right.
But those little things, that, okay, well, this is valid. Let me see how I can adjust or improve on those things. So let's learn to take feedback. They say the only constant thing is change. Right? So work on that feedback, try to grow, try to improve.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Now let's talk about you, Omorinsola, as an
individual. Now I can relax.
There's so many people probably watching this podcast admiring you. they go on LinkedIn and they see your profile and they're like, wow, I want to be like this woman when I grow
Bukky.
older. I'm serious. They're like, she's a director at an AfriExim hospital, African Medical Center for Excellence. You're worthy to be emulated. You
Thank
understand?
you
And
so
that is the
much,
truth. You've
Bukky.
done so well with your career.
Thank you.
For the average young girl, especially the young girls,
Yeah.
because we want mentors that we can look up to, women in leadership that we can aspire to be like.
Yeah.
For that young girl that is looking at you and thinking, oh, she's so lucky. She's the director at AMCE. What has your journey been like? I think it would be nice to share just a little bit of some of the challenges probably that you faced along your path or your journey to get you to where you are, understanding that you didn't just arrive here, right? Because people will see you and be like, she's so lucky, look at her. But then it's been over 2 decades of a lot
Yeah.
of hard work,
Absolutely.
grinding, and so many other things. So speak to that young girl who
Okay.
sees you now and probably even wants you to be her mentor, how you got here.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you. Thank you for all the kudos. My journey, I think, I actually wanted to be a doctor, right? My dad is a doctor. He pioneered IVF in Black Africa. So I always wanted to follow his footsteps. Fast forward, I'm in healthcare, so I didn't end up being a doctor.
Do too badly.
Because I didn't quite get the grades. And my dad said, look, if you're not an A-star student in certain subjects, just, you don't want to struggle with medicine. Patients need, So I did psychology. I did clinical psychology, and then I went into investment banking. So I worked in Citibank, one of the biggest financial services company in the world. I was an investment banker. I was a registered representative of the New York Stock Exchange. So I was, managing portfolios of, HNIs and businesses and of that nature. Fast forward, my parents are like, come back home, come and get married. You know how, you know how
that goes.
I'm telling you, come and get married. That's where it's happening in Nigeria. Come and meet your husband. Of course, I didn't get married until 7 years later when I moved back. So I worked with, top consulting firms like Philips Consulting and Accenture, one of the biggest, again, global consulting firms in the world. I also worked in financial services back then as, the head of HR international for one of the big top tier banks. And then I got married. And then my husband was like, oh yeah, pack your bags. We're going. I'm like, No, he was like, pack your bags. We're going to Abuja. And then I was like, okay. So at that point, you have to say, do I want to be a housewife? Do I want to? There are many of us that, you have a vacation for 2-3 weeks and you're like, okay, I'm bored. What next? So I had to really know, okay, what am I doing in Abuja? And I had to, you have to use your network as well.
Absolutely.
Call people up and say, look, I'm looking for a job. This is my profile. This is, where I would want to go, and, opportunity to work in, the biggest hospitality industry, company. In the world, Hilton. Also came up. I was the head of HR director at Transcorp Hilton, and Legend in Lagos as well. So I think that journey is one that it was a bit turbulent. It was one where I required support. You always need support for the family. Especially when I moved to Abuja, I was starting a new family, right? And all my family was in Lagos, and I had new babies. I ended up starting a school with you, an early years school. That was another journey on its own. We'll have to have another session on that.
Know, right?
So it was one where I felt I needed very strong support because you don't have that in Abuja. So it's important to have good friends like yourself, Bukky, that you can count on when those times come up. So it's one that has been with a lot of underestimation. I remember when I got to Transfer, like, who is this young girl coming to? But then when I was leaving, they're like, you really, really did well.
Made an impact.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's one of impact. And one of, my advice is one of humility.
Yes.
Humility
Yes.
costs nothing.
Yes.
But it opens doors.
Absolutely.
My dad always told me that. You can't let this, she's HR director or you are, CEO, MD. Don't let it get to your head. Because the people who are calling you today, when you leave that position, they're not going to look for you.
Absolutely.
So you have to have your tribe. You have to know who your tribe is, who can call you and say, Maureen, what you said that time, or don't do this, or just people who watch out for you.
Absolutely.
And you trust and are not yes people.
Right.
So you need to have your tribe. You need to stay humble.
Humility.
You need to stay humble. Humility costs nothing.
Yes.
But it opens the doors.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Thank you, Daddy, for the wise nuggets. Absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
So, I mean, that is very interesting because, like you rightly said, you need that tribe, you need that community. But people would say, you mentioned that, your network, you should leverage your network.
Yeah.
And people would say, oh, she's just been lucky because she comes from a big family.
Yeah.
She just called, her father just called or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you tell that person that believes that it's only about who you know, especially in Nigeria, to get these doors open?
Yeah.
Doesn't it go beyond who you know? Because again, who you know might open the door.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
But does it land you that job?
Absolutely not.
I remember you told me about the rigor it took, the interview process you went through for this job.
Yes.
But the average person thinks you probably just made a call and it was handed over
Absolutely
to you. So let's
not.
speak to that a little bit.
Well,
yes.
So and this is where God comes in. Whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, you have to back it up with prayer. You have to back it up with faith.
I love
so
that.
My current role, I saw the opportunity on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, who would
and
believe
I applied.
That? Who would believe that?
I applied, right? And there was the Hallelujah Challenge, Bukky. And I said, I want this job. I didn't really even know much about it, but it just looked like an opportunity to make an impact in healthcare in Africa.
Right.
And I said, this is the job I want, right? Again, that prophesying, manifesting what you want.
Yes.
And backing it up with prayer.
Right.
Right. So I kept on praying. I did the Hallelujah Challenge. I sowed a seed. I said, God, you're going to do this for me. I said, down to what I want, what I wanted, how I was going to make an impact in terms of the pay and benefits, everything manifested as I prayed.
Wow.
I'm not saying that I'm one Jim Christian.
Of course. No. Of course.
I just committed.
Right.
And I said, do this for me. My Lord and Savior.
Yes.
Have my back. Take all the glory.
Absolutely.
So I didn't know anybody. Not
Absolutely.
one person.
Yes.
Right? And the doors opened. Of course, you have to demonstrate the technical know-how.
Absolutely.
Right? When I did the interview, I think the recruiter said, you know what? They just told me to tell you that you've been appointed and that you did so well on the panel was impressed.
I remember.
So it was just like, wow.
Fantastic.
So you have to back it up with faith, back it up with prayers, and time and chance.
Yes.
You must prepare.
Yes.
You must prepare.
You must prepare.
Yeah.
I think that's the part a lot of the young ones miss out on. They're never really prepared. They think that once that opportunity shows up and maybe they've prayed, everything should work out. You must be prepared. There's a level of preparedness that you have to have to land that ideal role.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So the pre-interview, they said I was going to have to do a presentation on XYZ.
Okay.
Bukky. I did that presentation. I presented to my children, my husband, anybody that could listen to me.
Your presentation.
I did it over and over and over and over and over again until I knew it, in my sleep. So you must prepare, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, I knew that I met the requirements in terms of the job description, but I couldn't take it for granted.
No.
You have to prepare, you have to practice. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
And that's period.
Yeah.
That's on period.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maureen.
Thank
This has
you.
been very insightful. Before we round up the podcast, what does Omorinsola do for fun? We've heard so many rumors that you are a socialite. We know you
Really?
people from Ijebu. We just celebrated, Ijebu festivals recently and so on.
Yes.
And you people from Ijebu are known to be socialites.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we want to know what Mrs. Omorinsola does for fun because there must be balance.
Yeah,
As
absolutely.
much as you work hard, people think it's just about work, 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 work. Work is great. You have to work hard.
Yeah.
But then there must be a balance.
Yeah.
So how do you balance your high profile job
Yeah.
and just being so busy? How do you manage that? What do you
Yeah.
do for fun?
Yeah. So, for me, family first.
Okay.
Family first. I'm married to an Ijebu man, very traditional man, also an executive.
Yes.
He don't care. I'm the HR director. He don't care when you come home. You my wife.
Absolutely.
Right? And my mom supports him.
Of course.
So family first, I make sure, and my kids, they're like, Mommy, when are you going to cook? So I make sure, I spend time with my family. I enjoy their company.
Right.
We do a lot of football in the house. So yesterday I beat the kids. I think I was 5-4. In fact, they will tell you it's not true. But we play football at home. We play board games.
Okay.
We just talk. We have family dinner. That is really my safe space.
Fantastic.
I love working out. Working out just helps with my mental health. And then for fun, I'm a bit biased towards Lagos. But, I do have my crew in Lagos where we party hard.
Yeah.
We party hard. And of course, sometimes it's nice to go on that girls' trip.
Yes.
Or family trip, once in a year and so on. So I do have a lot of fun and I like to shop. That's one of my weaknesses. I love shopping too, yeah.
A few of us know about that weakness, but we're not going to talk about that today. Okay.
Yes.
That's good. It's good for people to see real life executives and how they try to live real lives.
Yes.
Because sometimes we just see you on LinkedIn or on the internet and we think that you have some kind of special life just because you hold this high position.
Right.
So it's nice to see that you're relatable and you're just like every other person, right?
Yeah.
I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter,
Yes.
just like every one of you. And I believe that if you put certain rudiments in place, success like yours can be achieved.
Absolutely.
So do you have any parting words for our viewers, before we round up?
Parting words is discipline. Discipline, even from a young age, right? Wake up, make your bed.
Absolutely.
That's one goal you've ticked.
Yes.
Make sure your room, your house is clean.
Yes.
Right? Make sure you have good hygiene. Make sure your lifestyle is healthy. Start with, you. Right? There's the will of life. So there are different things that would make Bukky.
Yes.
Different things that will make Omorinsola.
Yes.
Right? Whether it's your financial health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your mental health, right? Your relationship health with people. Assess yourself in terms of where you are right now and where you want to be. Then begin to write goals in terms of how you want to move the needle, right? Because right now, maybe your will is not balanced. Your will of life is not balanced, right? And if the will is not balanced, it's like riding on a jalopy. The road is not going to be smooth.
Right.
How can you make sure that your will is balanced? What are those goals that you need to set in your spiritual life, in your, family life, in your physical life, whether it's your fitness, whether it's your mental health, whether it's just reading a book or taking time for you.
Yes.
So just prioritize yourself by setting goals, and then don't let those goals just be on paper. Move, take action.
Yes.
Be disciplined to execute to the next level.
Yes.
And the sky is just the starting point.
Fantastic. So I think if there's anything I've learned from you today is, setting goals, very important. And
Absolutely.
then using action to back those goals up.
Yes.
And then having that prayer backing
I'm
to
telling you.
seal the whole thing together.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Omorinsola. It's been
Yes.
such a pleasure. Thank you
It's
for
been a
taking out the
privilege and an
time.
honor.
This has been really amazing. And, hopefully we would have more reason to have many more of these
Absolutely.
podcasts in the future. So
Yes.
thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
thank you, everyone. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you.